Let's talk about incompetence. Good morning, everybody. How we doing? We're going to talk about incompetence. So, the definition of incompetence is when your competence exceeds your level of competence, right? So, let's say, in the majority of jobs, skilled trade jobs, they have what they call journeyman, right? And when you're at the journeyman level, you learn how to do your craft. You learn how to, turn the widgets on, turn the widgets off, fix this, clean that. You learn the journeyman stuff. You learn the basic stuff that you need to learn, right? Now, as time progresses, you hopefully you move from journeyman to supervisor to manager, and then eventually one day, if you want to, you could potentially become the boss. Start your own company, right? Now, the thing that bosses understand is that their journeymen and their supervisors have a better understanding of the ground truth than they do. What's the ground truth? The ground truth is what's going on. Because if I did something 20 years ago, there's this stuff that we like to use that we call technology, right? That's using science to solve problems, right? Technology changes. And when technology changes, we got to change the way that we do things. So with that change, there's a knowledge gap, okay? And a lot of times, the boss may not understand the knowledge gap. And that's okay because their job isn't to understand how to do each and every individual thing, is to make sure that the company is successful, right? Now, these are great leaders who understand this and they allow their people to go out, learn those things, and they let them work. They let them work. They don't really uh, give them a whole lot of trouble, try to micromanage them because they understand that they can't micromanage them. You can't micromanage something that you don't understand. And I tell people this all the time. If if you are a micromanager, this is you, right? If I go and I take someone and I give them a task and I say, hey, look, this is your job. This is what I want you to do. And instead of me backing off once I've laid down the parameters of what it is that they need to do, and I give them a clear intent, I explain the vision, and I show them what the end state is and what they need to do to meet the end state. Once all of that is done, you gotta let them go and let them do it. But if you don't do that and you sit there and you micromanage them the entire time and you don't get the end state or the outcome that you wanted, that's your fault. You can't hold that individual accountable for that because you didn't let them do their job. You micromanaged them. So now the uh the outcome, you just got to be okay with it because you're the reason for the outcome. You didn't that smart guy or gal that you hired to do a job, you didn't let them do their job. I think it was who was it? I think it might have been Steve Jobs, but he said they don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. They hire smart people so that they can tell them what to do. He wants the smart people to tell him what to do. This is one of the things he used to say, right? But let's get back to this incompetence, right? Now, here's where this incompetence becomes an issue. Talent. To the title of our talk today, talent smothering, right? That same type of strategy, I ain't gonna even call it leadership. That same type of strategy that I just talked about with the micromanaging. If one were to go and do that and they see that they have a talented individual, all right? They have talent, but above that talent, they built skill, right? And that was Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had talent, but above his talent, he built skills, right? So at the end of the day, it didn't matter what happened. He built skills on top of his talent, and that's what made him so great. Now, as leaders, we got to understand when we see talent and not smother it, because you have some leaders that will see talent and they will smother it because they're afraid. They're afraid that they're going to be outdone or whatever it is, but for some reason, they don't embrace it. They're afraid. And we can't do that. We have to take that talent and help them build skill on top of that talent so that they can be greater for the next generation. Right? Every generation has to get better. Every generation has to get better. And that's what we got to do when we get that talented young individual or even older individual, we have to help them build skill on top of their talent. And we do that through development. We do that through development, through our whole little process, coaching, teaching, and mentoring, right? And we've talked about it on here several times. One person ain't gonna fit all three of those shoes. Okay. You just because you're a person's leader, you may not be qualified to mentor them in the area that they need to be mentored in. And the other thing about a mentor has to be chosen. They have to be chosen. You that person has to choose who their mentor is. They got to see something in that person that's mentoring them that's going to make them take what they say to home. Like there has to be something that they see that's going to make them value um, what it is that's being taught to them. Okay, so let's not smother talent. Okay, let's build skill on top of that talent so that that can elevate the abilities of the people that we have. Because at the end of the day, people are the greatest commodity. They are. People are the greatest commodity. The greatest commodity that will ever exist, that will ever be. People. Okay, there's nothing more important than people. All right. Okay. With that being said, hold on. We got somebody down here in the comments. Let's see what we got here. Wait, but this is exactly what I needed. Thank you. All right. Hey, and I'm glad it was. And you know what? Before I wrap it up, I'm gonna say this. If you find yourself in a situation where someone, you know what? Let me say this. So there's a story that I tell about value, right? Because value has a lot to do with talent as well. And there was this father. He has a daughter, right? And he gives his daughter this watch, this rusty old dirty watch. And he tells her, he says, "Hey, honey, I have an assignment for you. I want you to take this watch to school. And when you go to school, I want you to see how much people will give it for you. But no matter what they say, I don't care how much they say, do not give them the watch. Just see what they say, right?" So she's excited. She has an assignment from her dad. She goes to school and she starts asking people how much they'll pay for it. And, they give her a couple offers and stuff like that. The day ends, the bell rings, she gets on the bus, she goes home, and she's excited to go tell her dad, Dad, somebody offered me $40 for the watch. He's like, "Oh, that's great, honey." He's like, "Okay, that's great. That's great." So he's like, "Well, just hang on to it. And tomorrow I got another assignment for you." So Saturday rolls around and he says, "Hey, honey, I want you to go into the city to the pawn shop and I want you to see how much the pawn keeper will give you for the watch. Same rules apply. Whatever he says, don't give him the watch. Just see how much he's going to give it to you for." So she says, "Awesome." She gets on the train. She goes into town. She's very excited. She goes into the pawn shop and she finds the pawn keeper and she says, "Hey, sir, I got this watch here and I was wondering how much you would give me for it." He looks at the watch. He takes it to the back, and he comes back and he tells her, "I'll give you $500 for it." So she's like, "Holy crap, Dad really doesn't want me to sell this watch?" And she said, "Well, my dad told me to just see how much people would give me for it, but don't sell it." So she goes back home. She tells her dad, and the dad says, "Honey, that's outstanding. But I got one more assignment for you tomorrow. I want you to go back into the city, and there's an old watch keeper. He has a watch shop. This guy's been around, he's one of the pillars of the community. I want you to go to him and see how much he'll give you for the watch." So she does it, gets on the bus, goes into town, finds the shop, finds the watch keeper. She goes up to him and she says, "Hey, sir, I have this watch that my father has given me, and he wants me to see how much you will give me for it." So he takes the watch and he does a few things. He takes the watch to the back. He verifies that, everything is good. He cleans it up. He shines it up. He brings it back and it's a completely different watch. And he tells her that he will give her $150,000 for this watch. So she's just ecstatic. So she gets back on the bus and she goes back to her dad and she tells her dad, "The watchkeeper said he'd give me $150. He said, 'I know, honey. That's a Rolex.'" He's like, "The lesson I wanted you to learn is just because someone doesn't understand the value of you or what you have doesn't mean that it's any less valuable." And that's the lesson that he was trying to teach his daughter. And I say that lesson a day because the same thing when it comes to talent. Just because you have a person who has a title that does not understand your value doesn't make you any less valuable. And you shouldn't feel any type of way about that. Charge their ignorance to their head and not their heart. Okay? Charge their ignorance to their head, not their heart. Because at the end of the day, what we have to do is we have to keep honing our skills and keep working on our craft, regardless of the situation of where we're currently at. Uh, I said this a couple of days ago. I said, we can't allow our past to stop us from performing where we're at right now. We can't allow where we're at right now to keep us from getting to where we're trying to go to. Because at the end of the day, no place is no place is as important as where you're trying to get to. Because everything's a stepping stone. Your past was a stepping stone to your present. Your present is a stepping stone to your future, which will then become your present, and then it'll just be a stepping stone. Um, I get it. Things happen in life. They do. Life happens to people, but we have to remember that at the end of the day, these are just fleeting moments. They're just here for now, and they're gonna pass. And when they do pass, how are you gonna come out on the other side? Okay. All right. With that being said, my brother TPSGL, what's going on? I see you in there. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump off of here. I went a little longer than I wanted to this morning. All right. Look, you are important, you matter, and don't let anybody make you feel as if you are insignificant. If you do, get into the inbox. We have people here to help you. The Woman Intentional Podcast is here to help you. NCOPD Live is here to help you. And Let's Talk About It is here to help you. Hey, look, we mean that. We mean that. If you need something, get into the inbox and we will get back to you as quickly as we possibly can. All right. And I'll tell you right now, we are all watching that inbox. So as soon as something goes in there, you say you need some help or whatever, we're reaching out to you as quickly as possible to try to help in the way that we can. Okay. Even if that help ain't nothing but a conversation. All right. Look, if ain't nobody else told you, you matter to me. I care about you. All right. If ain't nobody else told you that, I mean that. I care about you. Look, life is a choice. I'm depending on you to choose well. Oz here signing out. I'll be talking to you soon.